We are now learning Sefer Shemot, Perek Aleph, Pesukim Tet Vav Ad Chaf Bet. Our goals for today's lesson: where does the redemption come from? The second, how did the Mefarshim get their answers? What is it based on? And the third, we are going to compare different stories and Pesukim from different parts of the Tanakh. What did Paro do to the Yehudim? His first decree was to charge them taxes. His second decree was to have them build. But what happened after all of those things? They got larger. As it says in the Pasuk, Paro thought that by making them suffer, he was going to make them smaller, but instead Hashem made them larger. Rashi picks up on this type of lingual dance, and he answers, "V'kasher yanu oto, v'chol mashrehem notanim lev la'anot, ken lev hakadosh baruch hu le'arbot v'lehafritz, ken yireh, ken raba v'ken paratz, umidrasho ruach hakodesh omeret, ken atem omrim pen yireh, v'ani omer chen yireh." Paro, you think you're going to stop them from getting larger? Oh no, I will make sure that they get larger. Notice the difference of just one letter in a word, ken versus pen. How was the third decree thwarted? It was through the midwives, hamiyaledot. As you see in the different color-coded words, Shifra and Pu'ah are the only names in this section, the only names that we are given. Paro's name is not even mentioned. He is known as Melech Mitzrayim. So what does this mean? Another question that we have is, why isn't the resistance of Bnei Israel mentioned? Why didn't any one of the Jews say, hey, stop? So let's start comparing. Was the fact that they grew larger a good thing or a bad thing? If we compare it to Sefer Bereshit, we see that in Pasuk Zayin it says, Peru, Orbu, Shirtzu, Urbuba, and this sounds like a beracha that Hashem promises that you're going to get bigger. In Sefer Shemot, it also can be positive that they got larger, but it can also have a negative aspect and remind us that Bnei Israel grew like swarms of fish, swarms of bugs, who do not have individuality, who do not have names. And that may be how Paro equalized all of humanity, and the freedom of speech was pushed away. Another comparison would be to the Bavel story. In the Bavel story, they had one goal, and their goal was to build a tower and to reach Hashem. In Sefer Shemot, Paro also had a goal, and his goal was to be memorable forever through building of buildings. In this story, the civilization tried to make a name for itself by building a tower. They have one language indicating total uniformity and have one goal expressed by the word Hava in Pasuk Daled. But Hashem's plan is that people should be different and society should be diverse. When people lose their individuality, when they are only of one mind, then that mind is usually bent on evil and self-serving ends. When people recognize the difference of the dignity of difference, then they find the humility to worship Hashem, who is the source of all the variety in nature. In Sefer Shemot, Paro also tries to claim divinity, make an everlasting name for himself. Both stories begin with names, continue with a stage of collective identity, and end with a return to names. But what is different about Sefer Shemot? If we see in Pasuk Zayin, "Vatir'enna hamiyaledot et ha'Elohim, v'lo asu kasher diber alehen melech Mitzrayim, v'techayenna et ha'yeladim." It was the midwives, hamiyaledot, who stood up against Paro, who had the courage and had the strength to stand up amongst the crowd and to say, hey, I have fear of Hashem, and that's not okay. I want you to think, what made Hamiyaledot stand up to Paro? Have a great day, and we'll talk about this more in class.